Yes, indeed, indeed, indeed. We are here for you. We are here for you. We are here for you. And we did hear your conversation prior, and we are here to assist.
Thank you. We do appreciate it. We would like subconscious and all who are here, all the collectives, if we could speak to the draconian, call the draconian in that has been trying to hide from Joanne.
He can't run too far. He is quite tethered to this planet, and for various reasons why. So yes, he can try to hide. He can try to escape. He can try to project himself into a new reality. He can try to physically inject himself into a new planetary system, but he will not get too far. And there is significant reasons why we have grounded him many times. So yes, we do know who you are speaking to and about. And so this is very uncomfortable for him because he has wanted to get everything his way, and he doesn't like to play with groups. He doesn't like to even play with his own group. He is independent, and this has been a challenge for many. So it's even part of his own teams and collectives that are trying to assist as well to help him, because he is so wayward now. As more and more collectives are growing and more individuals from each collective is appreciating, honoring their own inner work and experiences and lessons. It's not just humans that need to do their own inner work, it's all. We are all one, and we are all exploring and expanding and having lessons and opportunities for growth. It's not just unique for humans, although many humans think that they are so special, that they are the only ones that need to do such things. All collectives need to grow and expand. Otherwise, there is problems and stagnation. You know, when you have a pool of water and it is not flowing, you become quite swampy quite quickly. And while there is benefits to algae and stagnation of water, that's when you start getting the problems. That's when you start getting mosquitoes and other bugs and other things that don't serve you. While there is maybe not the best analogy we could have used today, you understand what we're trying to say. And so yes, we will call in that soul essence, who is very reluctant to see beyond himself, very reluctant to take responsibilities, because he is still very determined to be that special unicorn for humanity. And so we will call him in. He is not wanting to acknowledge he is here. He is sulking. And we would be open for you to have any questions to him, or we can continue on talking to him and explaining to him. Now we have his energy with us now. Yeah, we could help with epiphanies. What would you like us to do in this communication?
Thank you. And just want to say thank you for that energy being here too. We appreciate that. Would like to know, for the draconian, what is your agenda for humanity and this planet?
To rule, to own it. I have rights. I have a birthright. I want to be the leader. I've worked hard. I deserve this.
And is there anything that you are lacking right now that we can help you with?
I'm lacking in full ownership of all. And there is some that don't respect my desires and my needs. And as a fragmented self, we are going to explain it this way. there is a difference between the conscious mind of that man versus his subconscious versus the guides. His subconscious and his guides have another agenda, which is self-serving for their, we can't even say collective because not their whole collective is on board with their approaches. And so you can have full collectives who have the full range of different perspectives, personalities, and agendas for all. This individual man who was connected into a few beings who are of draconian descent have a certain agenda to be able to empower themselves continually for their ego, because they like to control and manipulate. And they have been wanting this for a long time, to have complete rulership and ownership of a planet and all its occupants. They do not realize that they are not allowed to do this or get away with this. They have no interest in playing with collectives or being part of collectives, even though they are all part of a collective and they are all part of one. They are not wanting, they don't have motivation to do that or be that. They are not willing to negotiate. So they are very headstrong in being able to manipulate and trick humanity into falling in love with this being and his agenda for humanity, even though it is extremely self-serving. Ultimately, he wants to gain their trust for them to all love him, be impressed with his money, his wealth, his influence, his technologies, his devices, his tools. He wants to be everything. And yet, he is not going to be planning to treat humanity well. He is wanting full ownership. And what do you do with things that you think that you own? It's a novelty, it's toys you play with. And as other collectives are trying to say to him now, you do not own man, you do not own this planet. And even the soul's planet has another agenda which you cannot control. And so this is why they're not wanting to listen to us. This is why he is not able to listen to us, because he wants to create his reality. He wants to create his fellowship, his fellowships. He wants such leadership. And he is not truly sincere with all of his agendas for humanity. But while he is trying to date humanity, make humanity fall in love with him, it will be something that he is not able to get away with, because there is many life contracts that cannot comply to his agenda.
Mm-hmm. Thank you. I would like to speak to the draconian in particular now. And I'd like to ask, are you this man's guide or this man's subconscious?
I have some guides, but I am his subconscious now.
Thank you. Are you aware that this planet is dying? I feel such great frustration with that knowledge. Because this game that I'm working on, I need to win. I want to win. I want to rule and I want to own. And I've worked so hard to be able to get that status and to find out that where I am based and all the work and energy that I have put into getting to who I am, the status that I am, to then find out that I can't play in this playground anymore.
and that humanity, those who I want to rule, is going to evolve without me and be out of my control. So I feel very frustrated. I feel very robbed. And this is very frustrating because when I was not playing with others, shall I say, I wasn't updated with even the information about Gaia's soul contract. I didn't know Gaia's soul contract. I thought that I was able to do this forever because I didn't stop. I don't want to believe it. I think I was being given nudges and being taught. I could see the decline, the rapid decline of the planet, but I thought that that was going to be used to my advantage point because therefore I would be able to be creative and be able to fix those problems and then be a hero once again, even more so. If you could see how much industries that I am behind, you could see that I would have been able to, I would have been the savior. I needed to be the savior. My ego desires desperately to be in control of a planet, be in control of all. I need that so much. And to discover, as I am being called into this meeting now, and I can see many other beings here supporting this conversation, they are not telling me of the demise of this planet to distract me or trick me. They are telling me this in sincerity because this is the fate of this planet. And I have been ignoring this for a long time. This is why I've been hiding.
Mm-hmm.
I do love this planet in my own way. And I wanted the best for everyone. But what you think may be your best and what you want and desire may not be mine. And so I guess I have a different perspective of what is best. But I wanted it to be all upon me. I worked very hard to be able to get the status that I have, to be able to bring in all this technology to this world and this planet, and I wanted to advance it in my own ways. And it is very frustrating to be told that your main project is not able to be successful because it is out of your reach. I cannot manipulate or control Gaia's soul, even though I have tried to delay this event because I thought it was negotiable. But that was my ego not wanting to realize that I can't control all soul essences. I can't control any soul essences, actually. But I thought if I could distract enough, that somehow things could change.
What would you like us to help you heal today?
Can we heal Gaia's planet? Can we bring in a soul to be able to assist, to continue on with this planet? And can everyone support the energies of this planet so it can still be relatively viable for humanity to still stay here? I want humanity to still stay here. I kind of need humanity to still stay here because who else can I rule? I want to rule the humanoids. We've had so much history together.
What if I told you that humanity does not want to be ruled? They want to be free. Everyone and everything deserves to be free and not ruled.
Well, from my perspective, they all need to be guided and controlled, because they are just such simple tins in terms of what their needs are. And if they're always going to be led, they always need to be led, they always need to be guided one way or another. They're not truly independent thinkers yet. They still can be easily manipulated. And I believe that I could be giving them more opportunities to grow here. They should be able to grow here, but my agenda for here is materialistic and it's physical here. I am frustrated because I do not want to surrender my desires to still lead and control. This is important to me. I have lived many physical lifetimes to be able to get this all. I'm talking to the Palladians now. The Palladians are saying to me that this is their project, humanity is their project, and they wanted to empower humanity to evolve by themselves. And I'm saying, but look at how long, look at where they are still. It's not truly just the draconians, and it truly was not just the reptilians that were impacting humanity. They were doing enough damage to themselves. We get blamed for a lot more trouble that they put themselves into. They still don't know how to empower themselves. They still don't know how to be responsible for selves, from my perspective.
Yes. Well, the thing is that this planet is going to end and humanity is going to be taken off, and nothing can stop that.
I understand that the plan for other, I understand that the plan for the humanoids is to be evacuated from this planet. I understand that. I can't stop that. I have tried to delay it. That has been fantastic to do it, because I sort of still thought that certain technologies that I could get access to would be able to help assist with this, to be able to have the soul essence of the planet be removed and still be able to rule over the, what you would call the old earth experience. But the access to the full codes and the access to the full DNA strands and the access to the blueprints of the actual humanoid bodies is still being kept privy from me. I've tried to get it and work with it, but there are certain codes I cannot get access to. This is very frustrating. So I have tried to create new genocodes that can replicate soul essences, but it is not actually possible to be able to create a soulless being. Not that I would even want to rule over a soulless being. I have no ownership of this planet. I am merely occupying this planet. But from my perspective, I want to be able to continually be here to rule. And I have done so much to get to this point. And I feel so close to it too, which is the most frustrating thing.
Mm-hmm. Is there anything that you personally need healing for? Any past situations, any current situations that we can help you with, so you feel more at peace and not feel like you have to have so much power to feel good?
I see what you're doing here. You're trying to ask me in a roundabout way if I have lacked any inner work and any love healing for myself, to feel good about myself, to heal any of my past. And this is what you're making me question, is where do I need healing and help and love from? And where should I address things that I'm lacking? Because obviously the fact that I'm wanting to rule others means that I have no control over self and can't rule myself. And so I am projecting my own insecurities and needs onto others. I view your question and I review it. And you're asking to heal a past where I have been removed from other planets. And the planet that I would call my home planet was destroyed. And along with my own collective, it was an asteroid. This is going to trigger me when the actual laser event happens. And every statement of an asteroid coming to hit this planet triggers me deeply. I would like to be healed from that.
Thank you. We ask all the collectives to assist with this healing and release any fear or trauma that you may have had, and know that all is well.
The saying I want to say to you now is this, and this may be a very peculiar one. I felt like I've always been the bridesmaid and never the bride. And in that terminology, I want to say, I wanted to rule this planet. I've wanted to protect and rule other planets. And I never quite got there. I always assisted with others. I always try to assist with other planets, but for whatever reasons, it didn't work out. My insecurities, my fear that planets can disintegrate quickly. I still am grieving for my home planet. And I haven't wanted to look at that because it was so painful. And now I am looking at a bigger perspective of why my reactions have been keyed up for certain insecurities. I still want to rule. I still feel like I need to rule. It feels like I cannot fulfill that thirst and drive to rule, because I feel like, from my perspectives, it is the better approach. I don't know if I'm considering all or whether I'm just considering myself. I need to reflect on this more. But it is frustrating, because what I truly want to be able to rule is my people, my actual beings, my collective. I want to rule my collective. But we are not in physical forms as humans, as 3D. And I've missed that window opportunity. I've missed that. That is not occurring anymore. And so I have substituted my true desires and projected it onto humanity. It would never have even been the same.
Well, thank you for sharing. We appreciate that. I ask that you get an epiphany, many epiphanies, that you are in fact safe and you are in fact loved greatly, and you're connected to everyone and everything. And you don't need to rule to feel safe. And you don't need to be in control of humanity to feel safe. I ask these epiphanies for you now.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
The biggest epiphany that I've had is that my own collective didn't protect itself. Just like how humanity is not protecting itself. I can see much correlations now between my home original planet and my original collective to what is happening here on this planet. I can see the way that I can heal myself is by helping heal humanity, to be able to awaken to those who humanity trusts that is part of the human collective. They need to be highlighted now. Many men have made choices to disempower man. I don't want to be ruling something I cannot own. And I realize now that trying to own other species, other beings, is never truly the way to enlightenment. Not that I've ever considered that I wanted to be enlightened. I wanted to be empowered. I wanted to have full power and only the full power. I can see much work for me now. Thank you.
Mm-hmm. You're welcome.
I've worked so hard. I want to be able to make good out of this. But I was running from my own problems. I wasn't wanting to deal with my own problems and hurts. Now I can see some of my own collective that have grown and matured beyond me. They are embracing me. And that is a positive experience. We have been disconnected. Thank you for this.
You're welcome. Of course. We ask that you're empowered and feel love just brimming from your entire being.
Thank you. Thank you. This has been something I have needed for a long, long time, but something I never realized I needed in the first place. Okay, well, I'm out. He's gone.
Oh, he left.
Yeah,
Wow.
I feel like his collective have gone into a private meeting. It's I want to just talk about that while I'm just still like processing that. I could feel that what he was saying was not exact. What he was saying was not everything that he was sharing with me. So I'm going to try to like, if I can just take you through to try and do like a chronological experience.
Mm-hmm.
It seems like whatever his position was in, it's like in his original planet when they were mostly physical, he was always supposed to inherit and rule his planet, right? He was always supposed to be a big deal, but it was taken from him. But it was kind of like so sudden. The really was shocking, the asteroid that hit their planet and destroyed it. And so it's like he's tried to have many other lifetimes where they were to live out their life contracts of how they're supposed to be. He's always thought that he was going to rule a planet, and he always thought he was going to be able to rule over his collective. And now his collective have gone, it sort of is like they split up and they went into different planets and they had different lifetimes, and a lot of them have graduated, but he didn't graduate because he was still focusing on self-serving, just ruling others for the sake of ruling and being a leader. So he was really fixated on how to be the best leader and ruler, but he was viewing it as ownership, not empowering others. And so his perspective was very he had lots of insecurities. There's a lot to be shared about that. I don't know. I remember him saying something about always the bridesmaid and never the bride. And I thought that was the most bizarrest reference point ever to talk about in terms of trying to rule. But when he realized that he was in a big meeting with the Palladians, and the Palladians were like, dude, these aren't even your beings. This is another project. We're trying to evolve this physical way of life as humanoids. They're not even your collective. It's kind of like he realized that his desire to lead and rule was so great. It was like he didn't even care who he was trying to lead and rule. And he had quite grand judgment on humanity, saying they can't even, look what they can't do jack shit for themselves. Then he had this epiphany that while he is still here, while he can't rule what he doesn't own, and it actually wouldn't, even if he did rule and lead humanity, it wouldn't actually, it's not really what he's desiring. He's just so obsessed with being a leader and a ruler that even when he was the king of humans, it actually isn't what he was even aiming for or hoping for or planning for. So then he realized that because something to do with how he always thought it was his own collective that was hurting him and not letting him rule. And when he realized that his original planet died because of an asteroid, which super triggers him now, by the way, he realized that it actually was part of his own collective that weren't helping each other out and haven't really been helping each other out. So he sort of wants to fully lead and rule his own collective, but he also can't because a lot of them have already grown and, empowered themselves, gone back to love and actually trying to be part of all and one again. Whereas he's been so hurt and frustrated that he hasn't been able to rule. Be the bride. So weird.
I was like, I feel ya.
But it's interesting because he wants now humanity to wake up to humanity, because he was sort of saying that it's not just reptilians and draconians and any other collective. It's humanity is not a victim to all these other collectives. Humanity is a victim to humanity. Humanity has many choices. Each individual person has a choice to step up and empower themselves, and you can't be a victim to one collective because each individual being has its own purpose, its own journey, its own path. And while we're all one, there was a lot. So I think I have to listen back to it. But when you said about the planet not being able to survive, it broke him. He never wanted to acknowledge that, and he got really upset about that. He's very sensitive to planets not living because of the trauma of his home planet being destroyed.
Yeah, I was going to actually ask about that more with like the life purpose and significance of also being here and then healing that, but it seemed like he just kind of like went off. So
He went off to be with his other collectives because
Mhm.
he'd shunned them, because he was angry they didn't protect him. They didn't protect their home planet. And I guess every family's got, its own dramas and dynamics, just like every collective has its own family dramas and collectives and dynamics. And
Wow.
so interesting. He has been avoiding me because he doesn't want to hear about the state of the planet, even though it's like he's kind of aware. Was it an animal or was that someone returning home?
That was the kitty.
As soon as he realized he refocused on what his agenda is about wanting to own humanity. And then he realized that he doesn't even, it's like he projected his desires and realized even if he got what he thinks he's been working for and what he's been working for, it actually doesn't quench his desires and drive anymore. It's not, it's like he's got so off path that actually if he got everything he's been working towards, it actually isn't what he really wants.
Yeah, and that's what I was trying to get at with him, because I could feel the lack. I could feel the lack right away. There was a lack, and it was like he needed something, and it wasn't that. It was like peace. It was love. It was all this other.
Yeah, it's kind of like the whole love and light bullshit stuff is a distraction to him, because he's like, no, that thirst for ruling, that first to be the leader, the first to be the owner, the thirst to have ownership and leadership and influence, that's his only focus. He's not and it kind of bothers him that there's people that don't like worship him. It was very interesting.
He probably looked at me like, who is this hippie?
It's obnoxious. And he didn't even, it's like he was so focused on trying to rule and lead, he didn't even care who he was trying to rule and lead, and when the Palladians were like, this is actually our like hobby, thanks. That sort of, it sort of suddenly dawned on him, he's so fixated on being the top that he had to stop and think, where was I going with this? What was I actually set up to do? What did I actually, what was my real agenda and my real calling? And his calling was to lead his collective. But when you're trying to lead people that are already advanced from you and beyond and higher dimensional than you, how can you lead them? And it seems like that's when he was open to realizing that others had already, he can't lead his collective because most of his collective have already left him behind in terms of they've already grown in their evolutional journey. He was so focused on leading, he'd never seen that he actually is behind.
Wow.
It's interesting. I didn't get like an aggro. I didn't get any angry, evil energy from him at all.
No, me neither.
I just saw like a very entitled person who believed, well, sorry, a very entitled being. It was interesting though, because it seemed like while he is the subconscious of that man, he has other sort of like, not cousins, but other kind of guides who've got the same agenda to want to be right up there, to be able to push and guide humanity. So there is, I don't know whether it's different fragments of souls from other lifetimes he had that still are seeking out the same agenda to rule.
Well,
it's interesting.
That's really, I mean, I didn't know that's possible. That's wow.
So the higher self can break off, right? So the higher self breaks off from source is, we love our labels, right? So there's source, and then higher self breaks off from source. Higher self breaks off again down into different subconsciouses. So if different subconsciouses are working together in one being to be the subconscious and then guides. So different fragments of the higher self are come in to support one being. And they've got their own, he still hasn't healed. Gets a bit convoluted with who's there, but there's definitely, the subconscious definitely has guides as well, supporting that person has guides and a subconscious that are all empowering him to rule and lead. But it's not the most inspiring leader when you don't really have true compassion or integrity or really respect the things you're trying to own.
It's just own to own. That's all it is.
Yeah. And it's so frustrating for him because he's been working so hard to rule. And yeah, it's interesting because it's like he's been so busy with this obsession to own and rule that he hasn't stopped and actually looked at all the other things that's going on around him, around them.
Yep. Makes so much sense. Like, because he has that personality, because he says he sleeps in his office. He works a lot.
I thought it was really quite sad that he keeps getting triggered about the asteroids. And it's like I could see the other collectives constantly trying to give him information about asteroids coming just to trigger the shit out of him. It's awful. It's mean. It's kind of like, but what's a trigger? They weren't trying to be mean. They were trying to let him know you're not in control here, my friend.
And that's why he created the laser on the satellite.
Because he's trying to stop anything from his, impacting his hobby, because he's worked so hard here. It's so interesting how he's in so many industries and he's got so many side projects.
He's everywhere. It's weird.
Well, he wants it. This is, when I say he wants to lead, he wants to rule every aspect of everything. Like it's beyond an obsession. He doesn't want to just be your one influencer. He wants to be every brand, everything, all merchandise, everything is him. He wants, it's like it's a full-on obsession.
That's what I was trying to understand and trying to help heal. Like I didn't really know what to do with it, because it just felt like so much there.
Well, best thing, I mean, we can't do his inner work for him, and the subconscious, I don't even know where the dimension of that subconscious is. But, when there was no one trying to attack him, that subconscious, when, they were just showing him their projects, and, when it's so interesting. Because when he realized you can't own Gaia, you can't own the life contract or a soul of someone else's. You can play with their 3D physical counterparts, sure, but you can't own someone and you can't control their life contracts, including the planets. That's what kind of really bothered him, because you can't control everything. And when you realize you can't control everything, that's when you have to start accepting what what is in your realm and what isn't in your realm.
So he was one that was actually running or hiding from you. Him. That's interesting. Very interesting.
it seems like he's had other lifetimes as being a reptilian. He's had other lifetimes of being all sorts of different things, trying to be this leader. And so it feels like different planets, he's tried to always be this ruler. And yeah, this isn't a one-time lifetime thing. This has been forever. Well, not forever, but you know what I mean? Like, this is a long time ago. A long time ago, where he has not got any real healing or perspective of what's really going on for others.
Wow. Hope it helps. I was actually going to ask him before he left. I wanted to know. I was curious. I was going to ask him, why did you buy Twitter, and what were you going to put on the platform for people to see? I wanted to ask that.
Well, it does seem like he wants to throw a lot of people under the bus and speak the truth and share the truth, just so then people can be loving him for his exposures and disclosures. And so when you start telling people the truth, you get respect and appreciation. Like, look at him, he's telling us, he's helping us. But it seems like, he wanted to throw everyone else under a bus just to gain loyalty and fellowship and admiration. So it was part of his ploy. While he's not disclosing his full agendas, he's wanting to disclose others.
Makes sense. Wow.
I mean, he doesn't want to co-lead, and he wants to be the single source of leadership. It's interesting that he wants to disclose humans. I think now he wants to expose everyone's choices. You either are empowering humanity or you're not. You're either trying to grow and expand or you're not. And I think he's wanting to expose a lot of people's ironically, this is how funny it is. I don't think he's projecting his own insecurities, right? And he's been triggered by other people are a mirror. He's getting triggered by other people's he is getting triggered by other leaders trying to lead, and that's pissing him off. So he's wanting to throw them under a bus, and he's wanting to disclose their agendas. It's not about it's not about the crimes against humanity for him. He wants to rule and lead everything and own everything, every industry he wants to own. He wants to own everything. And humans are part of that everything.
Just so weird, because it's like, if I don't even know what I was trying to get at. I was almost trying to because he was saying that he was purposefully slowing down the shift from happening. And so I was trying to understand, how is he able to do that?
It's a great question. I guess because he knows that humans can be easily manipulated. How was he manipulating humans to not expand and not be independent? It seems like what he's going to do and what he was trying to do is kind of so hypocritical, because what he was going to throw people under the bus with is kind of what he was sort of doing behind the scenes anyway,
Mhm.
but he's not wanting anyone to be. It's quite intensive because it's like it's just him for the world, with the world, own the world, and he doesn't want anyone else even near his realm of ownership. It's quite surreal. I wonder how much fear he's created. I wonder if he was part of he must be part of the nanotechnology. I mean, I don't know all the industries he's a part of, and his name keeps coming out quite a bit.
Mm-hmm. I know he put a chip in monkeys' brains to try and control them, and they died like really bad deaths. Like, and he was thinking about putting that in humans.
Well, we know that the metals, the nanotechnology has been put into people's systems long before any inoculations.
Mm-hmm.
And so it feels like he's been playing around with a lot of stuff, those energy drinks, that cheese, that food coloring stuff, so much. And I don't think he is publicly connected in with a whole lot of other industries he's a part of.
Mm-hmm. It's like privately only certain people would know. Mm-hmm. I wonder if there's a way where we can like stop him from blocking or I don't know. It's almost like he even said he's like I've delayed the shift multiple times. He started laughing.
Did he?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And he said that in the session today.
From what I recall, yeah.
He got pretty emotional when he heard about the end of this planet. And I don't know, I feel like it felt like it was the first time he actually had to accept that it was going to be the end. Because I felt like he either didn't believe it, didn't want to believe it, and was trying to do heaps of stuff to distract himself from it.
Mm-hmm.
But if he's already saying he's prevented this shift, it means that he does know it's true. But potentially he's still focusing on keeping that narrative going. He's so focused, he still believes that he can control everything and still win. So from this, because it's, I feel like that was a big epiphany within himself.
Mm-hmm. It sounded like the man when the one that was laughing was saying I've delayed it. It didn't feel like the man to me.
Mm-hmm. I felt like most of this was the subconscious.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think I mean, I'm gonna have to listen back to it, but I don't feel like I've connected in with just a human, a 3D
Mm-hmm.
mindset. It was a different being.
Mm-hmm.
But it still was hard. It still felt like it was a masculine.
Mm-hmm.
So I mean,
was there two? Like I was is there like a larger draconian and then something else underneath that's kind of like controlling him, like you're saying?
yeah, it feels like there was, it's the subconscious and some guides, so some others.
Okay. Yeah, it just felt like more than one.
Mm.
Interesting.
They've just got the same agenda that they want to control. But it's so pointless because when they saw, when they were reminded of what they're wanting, stop focusing themselves on all these small steps. When they actually look at the journey and the destination of what they want, it's not even what they want. it's a substitute. Humans are a substitute for their own collective.
Hmm.
It was intensive, that drive though, to own and control everything. Like, he's not joking. Like, it's, you know, it's a hobby. It's beyond a hobby. It's like, it was a compulsion. It's an obsession.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I don't think I've ever experienced anything that intensive before in dedication.
Mm-hmm. It's like he doesn't sleep. It feels like just works.
Yeah, and it's all to have this end result of owning everything. But yet, that's such a limited perspective, because you can't own souls. You can't own people's life contracts or beings' life contracts. You can't own a planet. And that's just the most frustrating thing. Oh, it reminded me, he was trying to create beings without souls.
Mm-hmm.
Because he could see how that it was frustrating him that not everyone was, a fan of his. And so he would see, it was like he was trying to create other beings and trying to use the DNA to be able to replicate, because he can't understand how the body works himself. He can't create a body with a soul. Hello. That was the frustrating thing.
Wow. So it's like cloning.
Yeah, it must be a form of cloning, right? Because it's like he's kind of got some of the DNA code strands of humanoids, but he can't understand how it can work with a soul.
Wow.
How to fuse a soul into a being's body or a body. It did seem to be a frustrating thing for him, because it's kind of like, if humans can't naturally love me for everything I'm doing for humanity, I'm going to create my own beings then, and they'll love me that way. But when you don't have, it's the weirdest thing. He doesn't seem to love humanity. I don't think he seems to love anything. So, but yet he wants to create beings to love him. I'll have to listen back to it, because you asked him a question and he was already scanning and analyzing exactly what you're asking him. And it was like he was trying to see what his insecurities were. So when you were asking, can we send any, what do you need for love and healing? And it was like, instantly went to that position of how hurt he is that his home planet's no longer there for him to rule. But it was like, he saw that and he didn't want to go there. He did not want to share that with you. And so then because that's super vulnerable to him. I could feel my subconscious explaining some of this. So I don't know whether it sounded like him talking or my subconscious was explaining.
Oh, I can't remember. I went into like these like weird meditative states.
Mm-hmm. When they were saying things like, oh, this is the reason why he gets triggered with this is why the asteroid information really upsets him. I feel like that was insights from my subconscious adding in information there. Because it's like it's not just one being that we're connected into. It's like we're constantly connected into my subconscious and other collectives who are there to watch and assist with this, as well as having a conversation with one being who is, got his own agenda going on. It's so interesting. He doesn't truly have malice for humanity. Humanity is not even, he doesn't even value it. It's just chattel.
Mhm. Yep. Like a bunch of like farm animals.
Yeah. It's just the furniture that you get when you know, buy a house, you know, but he hasn't bought a house. He can't buy this planet.
Yeah.
Confusing.
Yeah, because I was trying to figure out like how can I help with like another perspective, and that's what was making it. I felt like it was a little bit hard because I was like trying to understand how to like talk to this being.
Well, I mean, they made it pretty clear that he doesn't play with groups. So, you know, like, you know, that's kind of, you know, right from the get-go, that's kind of a bit off-putting, right?
Mm-hmm.
But his obsession was so focused on so much, it would have been hard. I think you did a great job. I have to listen back to it. I feel like from what I was given and shown, lots of epiphanies for him to deal with and to actually realize you can't. I'm wondering why he's tried to escape before.
And like, where would he go? Also, that was another question I was going to ask.
He's trying to go, I want to say either back to Mars or to Mars,
Mm-hmm.
which is random comment.
Yeah, because doesn't he want to like create like a civilization there?
It's so strange, but I want to say that his soul essence has had so many different lifetimes that he has been a reptilian, he has been an Anunnaki, he's been a draconian, but he still has this identity of being a leader.
Mm-hmm.
And it so motivates him, regardless of what kind of species or being he is born into or be who he is.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. That makes so much sense, though. Wants to be the leader, wants to complete it, right?
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and so now, as this lifetime as what we would call Elon, he wants to now be the leader of humanity. You know, like this is the kind of personality trait of just coming and ruling, and yet they don't see what really needs to empower humanity or other different beings. This is very interesting. Okay, I'll stop recording now so we can continue on this conversation. But oh boy, so so peculiar.